Hello fellow map makers, welcome to another live map making session. Hope you're all doing fine. We've just had a little winter spell here yesterday with a bit of heavy snow, but it's already all gone again and just turned to rain, and fortunately also getting a bit warmer. Well, the best thing is the rain, because we can really use some of that, because it's been too dry all around. Hope other people would need it more urgently than us get some of that as well. Hope the sound is good. The bells can be heard, so that seems to be fine. Should be hearing my voice then as well. And we are good to go. I'm Ralph Sherman of 1930s Software, and I want to show you one of the older annual issues, Overland mapping style, tonight. And them draw a nice little map using that style, while also creating some new tools for the style and showing how to add additional drawing tools to it. Which style are we looking at today? That's the 1930s travel guide style. We did a little series of these, basically one for overland maps, one for cities, and one for floor plans, inspired by the maps you would find in older travel guides from the Baedecker publisher. They used to be the travel guide to go to in the perhaps first half of the 20th century. And they contained lots of maps, a fairly distinctive style, designed for small pages, and make a lovely map style of their own. And we tried to reproduce them as well as we could and make that available in Campaign Cartographer. If you've got any questions during the session, please post them in the chat. There's people there who will give you knowledgeable answers. And perhaps I can also show something on screen if there's a specific question that I can highlight while creating my own map here. And so, let's get started and let's get going. We're going to start as usual by going up to our file toolbar and the new map button. And I click that, and from the map types I go to the overland maps. We're looking at, click next, and the 1930s travel guide style is right here at the top, and you can see the little preview here, and there I'm just going to click next, and I want to draw a smaller regional area, something a tourist might be traveling around, or so say 200 by 160 miles. It keeps my usual 5:4 ratio of dimensions. And I'm not going to add in the map, might actually take a look. Okay, take this opportunity to add a map title to this. Let's have a quick look where we want to put it. We can go up here in top left and then choose the map title symbol, click OK, and then we put the map title in here. Let's call it the county of... What we do, let's do something German Habach. Okay. And then we can also put other categories in the different corners here of the map. Say we do want a scale bar in miles. Okay. Well, interesting. Alright, well, let's see whether that shows up, and then we can also put in a little copyright notice. So it says by 1930s Software by default, but I can also, of course, if I'm doing one privately for my own, put in my own name. Okay, and then we're gonna do finish and save our map in our video folder here. Conveniently, as you can see, the Campaign Cartographer takes the title we've given the map and puts it in as the file name for our map. And there we are. Don't know what happened with the scale bar there. Something didn't work as expected, but we do have the other ones, and we can always add the scale bar later. We can, of course, move and scale these around. Say if I want to make it a bit larger, but put it more down to the corner here. And same with the title. Scale it up a little, up in the left corner. And there's my map title. What you can't do with these, and that's why some more generally often use the direct text tools, you can't numeric edit these and edit the text here. I could change the default value, but that will not work on the actual text here. Oops, I've even done something strange there. Getting rid of that. That's because it's a text attribute on the symbol and not an actual text entity, and therefore editing this will not work. You'll have to redo the title if you want to change it later. Well, that's not a big problem. Alright, so here we go. We want to start off with a little coastline, and for that I'm gonna go up to the default landmass, and don't want to have too much coastline. I'll just do a little corner of sea here with the bay going inland. So we have a bit of an interesting coastline, but which doesn't take up too much of the map. Down to the corner, and then I'm gonna, because I'm not drawing the sea, I'm drawing the coastline, so I need to go around on the other corners of the map and right click to finish, and there's my coastline. As you can see, it doesn't have much in the way of effects. It's basically just a blue line with a slightly lighter background. There, if we want to set it up a little further from the sea, we do need to add a coastal waters effect. And for that I'm going to click the default sea and just gonna do a little outline here. Same thing, going around the corner. There we get a repeating texture, and if I turn on cheat effects, you'll see that we have a soft fade out to the deeper sea, and there we have a nice sea effect. Alright, so much for that. Now let's get to the more interesting and special parts of this style. As you might have seen from the example map already, it does use a very distinctive way to depict mountains by using basically contour lines with shading indicating which way is down. So let's just grab an example here. Scale this up a little for the moment. This is basically how it's showing height on the map. You'll have a contour line that's depicting a certain height, and show the which way is down basically on the slope with these little strokes on the outside. Alright, so let's set our symbol back to normal. And oops, that was the wrong button. More, and I wanted to erase the symbol here. Alright, we already have the first question. First is asked whether I could color the sea blue. Yes, you could do that, not quite automatically, but what we could do, we could, for example, add a coloring effect to the background. Let's have a quick look. Add. Let's have a quick look. That would be the RGB. No, actually simpler is the colorize effect here. Then we just need to choose a blue. Okay. The only problem is it doesn't really fit our sea contour, because that's not a transparent texture. It's just got the yellow whitish coloring of the other textures here, so we could instead hide the sea contour sheet and use this blue layering for the background and the sea. And that would work. We could also do some other effects. Sue has some suggestions there, but I'm not going to go too deeply into that because I don't want to mess too much with the sea contours here at the moment, the effects. So, but yes, you can create your own setups here. It's not the default of the map style, but you could do a blue sea in various ways. We could also color the contour, and but then you'd still have the outside there. But we could also put the colorize here on this texture, and then you're losing much of the bitmap texture. And also put the same colorize effect, perhaps with a little darker color on the sea, and there we've got another version of the map. But that's not how the Baedecker overland maps look, so that's not how it's set up by default. Well, colorize is a good effect if you want to give a certain sheet effect a whole color. All right. So let's have a look and go back to already seeing. Got another question on the contour. Okay. Bill asks why the fade out is at the map border here of the texture. That's because the fade out is directly on the sea contour polygon, goes directly up to the map edge, and the edge fade effect goes from all the edges inwards, and therefore it is visible at this point. If you don't like that, if you want to change that, you can do something about that. There's a variety of different ways. One is in the contour effect, uncheck restrict to map border and draw further across the map border, so the edge fade is hidden behind the map border and not visible. The other is, if you want to change this after the fact, you can enlarge this a little bit. Let's have a look and go into Edit, Reshape, Stretch, select your coastline, select the points you want to stretch, stretch this a little to the outside here, and that way the edge fade is still there, it's just not visible behind the map border. And I'm just going to do the same, reshape, stretch, select the entities to stretch, do it, and then you need to draw a window which covers all the nodes that you want to move, that you're stretching, and that's what I'm doing here. And then moving these down a little. There we are, and now we've hidden the edge fade of this sea contours. All right, I think we've covered enough about the sea and the sea contours, and let's go back to the mountains. So we do have, was checking the mapping guide earlier and noticed that it's a fairly old annual, and there's some things in there that I would do a little bit different nowadays. We do have some more tools available, or I've learned more tools in the meantime, and I want to show you how to set these up properly. So we do have these symbols for the contours, which you can nicely use to create some hills. They are perfect for that. Small random rotations, and so you can create some nicely broken symbols for that. Okay. But there is no drawing tool normally. Let's go again. I wanted to go to the contours here. The contours. The contours do just have some lines and some then shading that you can use to add to the lines. I'll show you how this is supposed to work. I want to create an outlying contour line around my hills here. For that, I'm gonna choose the contour default close tool, and then I'm gonna draw my contour around the hills I've placed. Now, one thing to take aware of, the tool that I'm going to be using that adds basically the shading stroke to the contour always goes around clockwise. That means if you draw your polygon anti-clockwise, it will put it on the inside. So we do need to make sure that we are drawing our lines. We do have a little bit of, that's because of the broken texture. We do sometimes get these horizontal lines, but these will only be visible on certain zoom levels and should not interfere with our mapping later. So I've got this. Now I'm going to click this again, check the contour default shading, and then it's gonna go into the symbols along tool. And the mapping guide instructs you to load a specific setting. It's for that you go into program data folder, C3 plus, system, fillers, and the CA84 rich tool. See, it's got a little catalog of different symbols here, and you can select this, and then the tool goes around and places strokes around that. You might have to adjust your settings a little, and I've been working on that already a little bit and changing the size of this specific for our map tonight. So I'm going to load a different setting in a moment. But this, if I draw it this way around, as you can see, it puts the stroke correctly on the outside. Just to show you how it looks if I go the other way, default closed. If I draw anti-clockwise, like this, and then go to this one, and I want to load my own rich regular setting here. There I've made the this one not change size, and I've changed the size of the symbols a little bit. Then it puts the strokes on the inside of the polygon that I've drawn. So therefore, if you're using this tool, take care to go around the polygons you're drawing in a clockwise direction. Okay, let's undo this and change this. Same thing with the if you're doing it in with the here we go, the open version, where you just draw a ridge line and then edit, no, not edit, but the same tool, contour shading. Here I'm going to load the tapering version of the ridge. that changes the scale from 25% up to 50 in the middle and then back down again. By this you get the effect that the shading is smaller at the end on start points of our line. All right, so much for that. And this is obviously, you can choose your own settings here and do all that stuff, but it's a bit inconvenient that you have to load up the symbols along setting and first draw the polygon and then do all the extra stuff. And nowadays I know how to combine this into one drawing tool, and we have the macros that we can attach to drawing tools, and I wanted to show you how to do that. So basically, no, we are wrong, to advanced, and I want to create a version of the closed contour drawing tool with the symbols already attached. So first up is what I'm doing is I'm going to do a copy of the old drawing tool. Here I'm just going to select the one I want to copy and click new. And then I'm going to close, let's call that contour ridge closed. I'm not going to make it a default tool. And there we are. Now that's got the same thing. What do we need? We do need to execute a macro after drawing. And for that, I'm going to activate the macro command, and I want to apply the macro after drawing. Meaning I just don't want to just execute a macro. I want to first draw a polygon or a path and then apply the macro afterwards. So now the difficult part, what macro do you want to create? And I have the macro command here, just a basic escape, that's escarpment tool or symbols along. But I also want to load the setting and stuff. So and I have no idea about macro language, what to do there. I'm going to do that. Well, the thing is, examples like that, go to a drawing tool that already does kind of what you want to do and copy it. So how do we find one of these? Well, let's think a little bit back. Last month we had the Winter Trail annual, or this month actually, start of March, not long ago, and it did have a tool for drawing steps in the snow. And basically that's the same thing. It just draws a line and draws stuff along it. So let's have a look. Go to select the tools from the drop-down links here. So we're looking for Winter Trail. And there's our human tracks here. See the preview of the drawing tool, and let's have a peek here. And there we are. We do have our little macro that we need to do something like this. So I'm just going to copy this, cancel, and go back to our 1930s Overland style. And then I'm going to go to my ridge, contour ridge again, command to execute, and paste this. All right, we've got the macro copied, but of course I don't want to draw a track of human footprints. Instead, I want to draw a line of these shading strokes. So how I'm going to do that? Well, I do have the file path here, and I do need to put in the file path to our other setting. So how do I find that? Well, let's cancel first here, save this tool for the moment, cancel out, and go to draw symbols along. And here's our, no, that's not the setting save, so that's the symbol catalog we're loading from. What we're gonna check is here our load, and this is the line we need. We are in C3 Plus folder under System Fillers, and we do want to load the ridge regular. So I'm gonna copy this. See what I'm noticing. My settings are not actually in the annual subfolder. That's basically because the annual is old and the macro saved there didn't use the annual folder at the time. So what I can do is I can grab this and just move it down into the annual folder. I'll take the rich tapering one with it right away. And then we are here again. There's our file name. Copy the file name. Close our Windows Explorer. Cancel our Symbols Along tool. Go back into the drawing tools. Advanced. Go to our rich again. Command to execute. I forgot to save the macro. I cancelled that, and that's why it didn't save this. Low. Okay, let's do it the full way. Let's go back to Wintertrail, UMHX, properties. No, command to execute. Copy this, cancel. Go back to the travel guide. No, that's the actually. There we are. Hey, what I'm doing here, I'm always hitting this in the street. 1930s Overland. This is actually the one I'm using. Sorry, the travel guide is the floor plan. There. Okay, so let's go to Rich Closed again. Command to execute. Save this. And this time we changed this to the annual subfolder, so we just need to put the name of the file in here. I haven't got it in the clipboard anymore, but I remember it, I think, and it's rich regular .esc. There we are. Okay. Save the tool. The only thing we don't see is a preview, and I'll show you how to add a preview in a moment. I've done this a few times in the past, setting up new drawing tools, but without adding the preview from macro tools. This time I want to show you how to do that as well. But it's going to work without the preview. I'm just going to click this. I'm going to draw my polygon, remembering still need to do the clockwise drawing. So I'm going to do that. Right click to finish. And there the macro executes afterwards and automatically gets used on the entity we've just drawn and adds the stroke to that. Okay, so we've got that added. Very nice. Now I just want to do the same with the open line. So here we go. Advanced, default, open. Oh, no, default open. Create a new one. Rich open. Use macro command, apply macro after drawing, command to execute. Yeah, we've got this already in here, and this will be CA84 rich tapering. All good. Save the tool. Okay. Let's give it a quick test. And there we have it with the enlarging stroke in the middle and smaller at the edges. You might notice that you have to do 2 steps to undo. That's because the drawing tool basically does 2 steps, drawing the path first and then adding the macro, running the macro, and that's 2 steps in the undo list to get rid of that again. Alright, so all nice and shiny, but I want to also create a preview for the drawing tool. You can see my rich tools here are basically empty. How do I add these? Well, you basically need a little extra map to add this in the drawing tools folder, and that will be shown as the preview. So what we do, we first draw a little example of our tool. As our rich closed. There we are. And then save the map somewhere else in the program data folder. D program data C++ system draw tools, and then the annual 1930s Overland. And there you already have a few, basically the versions I did earlier for testing. And now I do need to add this the same name as my drawing tools has, and that would be contour rich, and I already see them. This is the closed one. Don't want to add the DTM in the name. Drawing. There we are. And now we do need to erase everything but our little sample. And that's quickly and easily done. Just visually here. Ooh. Combine not, that would have been easier to do from the start. Do it. Zoom out. Save. You can basically get rid of a bit of extra in the map and size by deleting all the symbols that are in it. You could also move this just to the common sheet and delete all the sheets. Basically, you can make it as simple as possible without still having the preview here on screen. And then we go back to our previous map. And if I now click my preview, there's my contour ridge visible with a nice little preview of what the drawing tool does. And that's all to it. You just need a little SCW file, a little drawing to show what you want to see. You could do a full complicated map in this preview, but that would kind of be beside the point. Alright, so there we go. And now we can go on and draw some mountain ranges here. I think I want to get rid of this first. I'm not too happy with the layout here. So I'm going to redo this. One little other thing I noticed earlier. Basically, you might see that these symbols are all the same. Oh, are they? No, they're not actually. They are different ones. All good. Having a wrong look there. Forget what I was about to say. Okay. So let's start out by drawing a bit of a just lines here. Open with shading. Look. I have to remember that. Let me just if I draw a line, okay, now there's something wrong. This is what shows up if you this drawing tool can't find the symbols along setting. So I've obviously done something wrong there. Let's have a look. Let's do symbols, draw symbols along. This is what the default is that shows up if you don't have this. And now, okay, yeah, sometimes the load button then doesn't bring up this setting. All right, we do a little restart, see whether that works then again. Here we go, draw symbols along, load. Yeah, now the load button works again. I have no idea why that happens. It's happened to me a couple times before. If the load button in the symbols along dialog doesn't bring up anything, just restart Campaign Cartographer and you'll be fine. So I wanted to check here on my ridge tapering, file name, and go back into my drawing tools, my ridge open tool. Want to execute. I might have a double space in there or something. Let's have a look. No, it looks fine. Let's try again. Yeah, it does work again. Not sure what happened last one. Perhaps I used the wrong tool. Perhaps I used my previous one. Alright, so if you draw a line like this, the shading will be drawn on the left side. So if you're drawing not a closed entity but a path, be aware of that. On the left in the direction drawing. So if I want to add a contour going, no, I do need to right click this. There we are. If I want to have a ridge line going this way with the shading pointing down to the south, I need to start from this side. And there's my ridge line. Nice and good. Let's do the same down here. I need it on the other side. So I'm gonna go up from here. Don't need to always draw these in one continuous line. There can be gaps where there's no steep incline. And then I'm gonna switch to my closed version and draw in a few larger areas. Yeah. And I've already gone the wrong way around with this one. Yes, as you can see, I chose the wrong direction. So I need to redo this clockwise. Always go clockwise. There we go. And one more. I could also actually use just the path, the open version here, as I'm butting up to the map border anyway. And then I could go in and add some symbols. Oh, I've become very small with the symbols here, set to normal. There we are. Use these for some outlying hills. There we are. Here we go. And then go back to my tools, closed ones. Ideally, you wanted to draw a few more of these, a more detailed view. I'm already going the wrong way around again, am I? Yes, I am. Happens when I'm not concentrating. That's better. There we are. Here we go. And the final one. Here. Good. We can also grab some individual pieces. I know where the very small size comes from. That's when I'm drawing symbols along one at the as the last drawing tool. It sets the last ones because it stops at the end of the contour line to a very small size, and therefore it ends with a small symbol size. These you can use as the peaks of the mountains. And you could fill in more contour lines like this. Alright, so let's get some rivers down. So we are gonna switch to the river tools here. Let's have a look how we start with the White River. Using the endpoint modifier F5 to draw my river. Notice that this uses a fractalized line for the river. Well, it works well enough, I think. So, like this, and then perhaps a river coming down this way. Then I'm gonna switch to a normal one, default size, and use this gap here. A smaller river down the size, a few tributaries up here. Oops, that was I did use the on modifier but hit the contour line instead of the coast. Alright, so landscape-wise, this is basically how the Baedecker maps looked in the original ones. They had basically the rivers wouldn't have even have been blue on most of these because they were very limited in the print colors they would be using. It would just be 2-color prints, and this is already an expansion of those, basically. But of course, you can go further and add more color touches. And one of the reasons I turned to this map style here for this week's video was a drawing that was shared again, or basically commented on the Facebook group, and which I liked quite a lot. Let's have a quick look where I have the videos. Here we go. Fantasy streams, the sample. I pulled that from the web. There we are. And here we go. Oops. Basically, I should have loaded that in a different software, but this is fine. Basically, this is the sample map of the cloth salt colonies that was posted on Facebook. And it does use some green on this to depict woods and stuff, which I quite liked. And I wanted to recreate that with drawing tools for this style. So to show you how to expand on this. Now, if I take a look here, we don't have any drawing tools for forests or so on this map. So what I want to do is I want to add this kind of forest style and the drawing tools for that. What I usually then do is first draw the stuff I want to create. So I do obviously need a new sheet for this, because this by default doesn't show any forests, the map style. So I'm going to add forest here, and let's see where I want that. It certainly should be below the contours, because the contours I want the contours to show up on top of them, and then but it does need to be above the lens sheet. There we go. So this would go on the layer vegetation, and we do need a green for that. Fill style solid, line width 0 because I want a filled polygon, and then let's have a look at the greens. Well, I'm not too happy about the default greens here in this map, so I don't know. Should I use these, or I could actually start to define a new color range for this. Well, it's also a good opportunity how to see how to modify a map here. So if you want to do a full 16 point full line change, basically a base color from where all the brightness variations are derived from, start off with one of the left square in the middle. There's 2 in the middle, 8 to either side. Each line is 16 long, and you want the one 8 from the left. For the screen, it's the 87, and then say define color, and then you can choose a different green from here as the base color. Let's see whether we've got something that suits it. I want to have it a little bit more desaturated, I think. Let's go in this direction here. That looks quite nice. Choose one of the middle range here. We go. Then add this color. Choose it here on this line. Custom colors. Click OK. And then you've got this here changed on the map. You might notice that it does look a little bit different here. Then say blend 16 colors, and then it will create the whole color range here based on that one color. So much for that. And then click OK. Although you should then make sure is go in the drawing properties and custom palette, the color palette, attach it to the drawing. And this way it will be safe with the map, and you don't have to redo the colors next time you open this map. Alright, so let's start. Let's just grab a smooth polygon and add a forest here on the side of the hill. Go. Alright. Pretty strong and not quite what I want. If I look here, that looks quite a bit different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a transparency effect to the forest sheet. Add, and just do transparency. Oops, that was the wrong one. Add transparency, and let's try it 50% transparency. And there we go, and already looks much nicer. It's still not quite the green I want. See, this is still a bit more bluish, I guess. So what we can do is go back into we first perhaps make it even. The more I up the transparency, the more I have the underlying color showing through, and the more it blends into the rest of the background there. See, already looking better, but perhaps still not quite the green I want. So what I'm going to do is still on the color 87 here, go to define this again and move it a little bit more into the blue range. Add it again and blend the colors again. Yeah, the difference is very subtle, but you can play around with that, but I'm good with this here. So all nice and good, but we do have a second, basically a deeper forest color here, and I want to do something like that. And the easiest to do that is to add a second forest sheet. Press deep. Put the same transparency effect on that. Paste. And draw the same color on top of that. And there you can see, because the transparencies overlap and the green basically multiplies, we do get the darker green color in the center. That's basically what I want. I can still play around with the colors later if you want to change that at the end. And now I can create a drawing tool for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the all drawing tool buttons. I always try to look for something that might be a bit similar, so I don't have to do so many changes. So let's see, I can start with the land smooth. So at least it already gives me a smooth polygon. And I want to change this. First off, I don't need an outline on the forest. And on the properties, I do have my color 87 I wanted to use. Where's my color 87? There's my color 87. I do need the solid fill style. I want to go on the layer vegetation and on forest. Basically the base forest goes on the forest sheet, and I can then always switch to the forest deep sheet, and because I've got the asterisk in the name here, the tool will work on that sheet as well. So no need to create two drawing tools. I could of course do that, but I also try to keep the number of tools available down to make it not too complicated or too overwhelming when you open the all drawing tools list. But that you can do that as you prefer. There we go, and that's all we need. So, I should have created a new version of this tool because I didn't want to override the land tool. Instead, I wanted to create a new tool, terrain forest. There we are. But I've changed my. I've destroyed my land smooth tool. Yeah, I need to change that back. There's no undoing this here because I'm working within the drawing tools. But I can delete that. Grab another land tool, the default one, and make it new one, land smooth, and choose a different drawing method. Just switch it to a path polygon. It's already the option is already set to smooth, so I've just now got the copy back. Alright, now I can use my terrain drawing tool and forest to create more forests. I'm still on the forest deep, so we put on this. So instead I'm first going to go to the forest. Draw my forest here. There we go, and because I've set it to attach to the map border, it just butts up the map border. It's no problem with this tool because that doesn't use the edge fade effect. And if I now want to create a deeper section of the forest, I can go in. Oops, and I've started the tool already. And here we go. And there's the deeper area of my drawing tool. Alright, and if I want to change the colors a bit, I can still go in there, define color, and let's go for something perhaps more into the brown area. So it looks looking quite good. Okay, define color. Oh no, blend 16 colors. There we are. And I quite like this. This is looking good. So this shall be my green for the forests on this map. So if you ask me whether I should I can make the drawing tools available later. I can certainly do that, make a little zip file of the new drawing tools and new symbols along settings as well. So you can add them to your own. No, it's not going to be a setup or anything, but I can put them in the forum on the video thread and add them there. All right, yeah, and as Vivian says, it's certainly negligent of the cat not having checked me today. She's just lying here next to my screen, but sleeping soundly. So she's not going to show up tonight. All right, so I could go on and add cities and roads on this map and stuff and labels, but I don't think that will add anything new at this point, and we're getting close to the end of the hour, and therefore I'll call it a day, a map for tonight. So certainly not a finished one. And hope you learned a little bit about creating new drawing tools and creating macro versions of tools, and enjoyed our little mapping session tonight. Otherwise, have a good night, a good evening, good day, wherever you are, and create beautiful new maps, and I'll see you again next week. All the best to you. Bye-bye.